All right. In the effective time, we'll go ahead and get on started. People will be filtering in. We did try something new this year, which is keeping our villages open a little bit longer, keeping the bar open a little bit longer. So please don't make the bartenders carry that stuff back. Okay. Apparently, I have my notes on the interwebs. So for those who don't know me, I'm Josh Michaels, one of the founders and organizers for Bsides Seattle. More importantly, with me I have a really excellent human being. For those that don't know Beau, this is Beau Woods. And Beau has run the DEF CON Policy Village, founders of Hacker on the Hill, eater of delicious food, and just all-around good human. So Beau, you know, I met you through DEF CON Policy Village and through our CJ, our mutual friend. And one of the things that really just stood out for me was the passion you had for change. And I'm very curious, so what was the genesis for you for creating things like Hackers on the Hill or bringing the government into our space?
Yeah, it's a good question. I like it because I like any good hero or villain, I get to tell my origin story a little bit. So I was working at a hospital, securing medical devices and other things for many, many years, and went out and did consulting and realized I was just fixing the same bugs over and over and over again, or maybe like slight variations on the same bug, and I was frustrated. My big win at the end of the day was that I had done something that I had done a bunch of times before, but this time somebody had listened to me. And I was getting frustrated. I was getting, to your talk earlier today, really burnt out in all of that. I said, there's got to be a better way. I have a goal that's to fix large quantities of security issues in the US and around the world. I'm a hacker. I'm not going to bang my head against the firewall over and over and over again. I'm going to go around it. And so I started doing more things like I Am the Cavalry, which was started by Josh Corman and Nick Percoco in 2013, so over a decade ago, at Bsides Las Vegas and at DEF CON. That got launched. I started working with them to kind of look for better ways to get these things fixed. And a lot of that tended to run through public policy, through Washington, D.C. Because if you want to fix a single bug, you go to the software that it's in. If you want to fix an organization, you go to the top of the organization. If you want to fix an industry, you go to the industry association. If you want to fix the world, you've got to go to the levers of power that can do that. And so after 5 years of traveling around the world and living my best life, I decided to move to Washington, D.C., where it gets extremely hot and swampy in the summer, and practice a new skill. Instead of being technical, I was interpersonal and had to quiet down a lot of the instincts that I had built over several years in the hacker community, like I've got to be right, or like technical knowledge is the domain to getting things fixed, and do a lot of really uncomfortable things. But it turns out that there's a lot of good to be had. And so, you know, the name of this session is Fuzzing the Chain of Influence. And one of the things that we realized early on in I Am the Cavalry is we don't know what's going to work, but we're going to try a bunch of things. We're going to fuzz the chain of influence, and whatever works, we're just going to pursue it. So the tongue-in-cheek title of our autobiography is going to be, we have no idea what we're doing, but it seems to be working. Because we started naively and in many ways cynically thinking the only way to get anything done in Washington, D.C. or in public policy is you've got to play politics, you've got to be a lobbyist, that takes a ton of money, you've got to be somehow corrupt or corruptible. And what we found was that none of that was true. Yes, there are pathways through that. But in actuality, like just by being a sincere, passionate human and connecting with other sincere, passionate humans, you can do a lot of good. Because especially in Washington, D.C. and in public policy circles, like they've got a tough job. They've got to go from 15 minutes here they're spending talking about issues of military defense, and then they're going into farm subsidies, and then they're going into opioid epidemics, and then they're talking to you for 15 minutes about this weird computery thing that they don't really understand, but they know it's their job to get it right. So they want to listen really, really intently. And if I realize that if we're not the ones in there talking to them, they're going to talk to somebody else. And those other people are probably going to be lobbyists. They're probably going to be people with lesser motives, with lesser knowledge, with these other things. And they won't have our perspectives. They won't have our independence. They'll be reading from talking points, and they won't be able to articulate that. So started basically building up capabilities and connections in public policy, which led to joining a think tank called the Atlantic Council, based in Washington, D.C. Spent a year and a half there. Doing that, ended up taking a couple of members of Congress out to DEF CON. So I have done shots with members of Congress at a DEF CON talk. It was pretty amazing. Ended up, after I left, I went to work for the FDA, working on medical device policy, given my background in healthcare. I helped start something called Hackers on the Hill, which is a bunch of hackers that get together around ShmooCon time, because we're all in town, and go talk to congressional staffers. And that started because a staffer I was talking to was like, hey, you said there's a bunch of hackers in town for this conference. Do you think they'd want to take a Capitol tour? I said, I don't know, but I put out a tweet. And then at like 8 in the morning on a Friday before ShmooCon, like 30 people showed up at the Capitol wanting to get this Capitol tour from an actual, staffer. And that evolved into what we do now, which is about a half-day session of, for an hour and a half, we talk about a day in the life of a congressional staffer, what are hot topics, and then we break up into small groups, go around and basically do briefings. So this is like, if you've ever done a tabletop exercise in your organization of how to act when there's a crisis, what do you do if there's a policy crisis? You go and do a tabletop by talking to staffers when there's not a crisis, when you can war game it, when you can dress rehearsal, and kind of break down those walls that in many cases we've put up ourselves. And overall, I try to give more access to more people in this community to talk to people in places of public policy power so that we can make a difference, so we can bring our knowledge, our passion, our intelligence, our experience to bear on the problems that they're facing every day. And one of the ways to do that is through things like policy at DEF CON, which, raise your hand if you've been to DEF CON. All right, a lot of people. Keep your hand up if you've been to policy at DEF CON. A handful of people, awesome. So that was started in, I think, 2019 by a woman named Heather Blanchard, who was in the press department and basically was like, I'm just going to go and take a bunch of rooms that are empty, and we're going to have public policy conversations. So it was a very hackery thing to do. She started it, and eventually it grew and grew and grew to what it is now, which we have thousands of people come through there. We have dozens of volunteers who spend hundreds and hundreds of hours prepping for this. I estimated last year that we probably had somewhere north of 2,000 hours of work throughout the year to just make this thing go off. And it's really a testament to the hard work of people like Heather, people like Alexander Romero, Katie Noble, Winona DeSombre, Sarah Palachak, all of the people that, in the spirit of gratitude, that actually make those things happen, that have the connections, that have the knowledge, that have the insight and the foresight to be able to put something like that together and to build an environment that I think is uniquely positioned, whether it's at Hackers on the Hill, which they all help with that as well, whether it's policy at DEF CON, whether it's the things they do in their day-to-day job, to ensure that the people from this community have the ability to have an outlet that will be effective rather than just shouting on Twitter, because it's fun and all, but it doesn't get anything done. We've proven that over the last 10 to 20 years of shouting on Twitter, shouting in IRC, doing those types of things. So I want to see more of this community engaging with the public policy community, whether it's in DC, whether it's at DEF CON, or whether it's locally here with state, local, or even national elected and appointed officials who are in this area.
I mean, it's amazing, Beau, the evolution, coming out from, securing healthcare to taking that challenge and taking that challenge on. I will say, if you're still posting your Twitter, that might be a problem. But no, one thing that I have a question on those. So you've made these connections. You've built this environment where you're combining the government officials and you're combining, us hackers. What do we get out of it? What happens in the world?
Really good question. I think it's important to ask what our impact actually is of the things that we do, because we only have a limited time here on Earth. And so we need to prioritize things that are effective. So who here has heard of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act? Okay, lots of hands. Who here knows that there are exceptions and exclusions carved out for good faith security research where you will not be prosecuted for that? Awesome. You know who did that? A bunch of hackers. People like Jay Radcliffe, Andrea Matwishin, Jen Ellis. They made sure that they went to the proper channels through the Library of Congress, that they wrote letters, they responded to calls for comment to be able to get these good faith exclusions. So now we can research things like medical devices, like mobile phones, like election systems, like anything that's tested in a safe environment, to be able to find and report vulnerabilities in good faith. That's one very tangible thing, and that's not something that I really had anything to do with, but it's a testament to the power of the people in this space already doing these things. There are laws that have been passed based on conversations that were started at DEF CON, based on conversations that were started at Hackers on the Hill, based on conversations that were just had over beers with a congressional staffer one night, and they wrote it down the next day, went in, gave it to their boss, and their boss was like, "This is cool, let's go get this done." So there are tangible outcomes like that. There are also laws that have not been written because somebody intended to write one, and then you sit down and talk with them, and you're like, "Yeah, that'd be a really dumb idea. Like, these 12 things would break if you did that." "Oh, really? Well, let's not do that then." They just crumple it up and throw it away, right? There have been a ton of things that usually are fairly low key that happen. There's an amazing program called Tech Congress, where technical people get a fellowship to go and sit in a congressional office for a year. And so if you've noticed a market increase in the tech literacy of some of the conversations that have happened on the Hill in the last 5 to 10 years, a lot of that's been because of things like Tech Congress. A lot of people from our community have gone and spent a year sitting in Congress doing things. Now, there's lots of tech illiteracy still in Congress and in agencies and other places, but that changes over time with our efforts. So those are the types of tangible outcomes that we see from our community going and engaging in productive, proactive ways.
Well, and just like in our conferences here, we set stage and create space. You've created space for us to have those conversations, for us as a hacker community, for us as the subject matter experts in a cutting edge space, to, as you said, work through the proper channels to drive impact. I mean, I know I've been frustrated by some, what I would consider, terrible laws for technology on the books, but I just get mad and I go drink a beer. You've created a pathway. So if you had, one or something that you want to make sure that our community leaves with, what do you want them to know? What do you want our community to leave here with today?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, anybody can do a lot of the things that I've done and other people have done, right? When I kind of got started, like, if I had tried to find people and ask their permission, first of all, there wouldn't have been too many people to ask because there weren't too many people doing this. Now there's a lot more, which is awesome. But secondly, they would have told me, like, "Sorry, you're a nobody. Like, we don't know who you are. You don't have permission to come and talk to my friends over here." Like, that's BS. Right? We're hackers. We see gatekeepers and we just go pick the locks, right? Like, we work around those bottlenecks in the system. And so I want you to understand and realize that you too can go and do those things, can do similar things. There's stuff you can do I haven't even thought of, right? I'm just one person, and some of the other people are doing this. We've done it a certain way for a long time, and we're set in our ways. You're going to come at it in a whole new direction, find new ways to fuzz the chain of influence and to get through and to make things happen. Secondly, to realize that the people who are in public policy, the vast majority of them that I've met do it because they really believe in serving the community, serving the citizens, in making the world a better place, which is a lot like us, right? They have similar motivations to us, and they want to get it right. They sit down and they'll listen. And not only will they listen, they're actually seeking us out. They want to hear from us. They just don't know how to get in touch with us. If you asked them, they probably wouldn't know what a Bsides is, let alone know when they're happening or where to go for them. And that's not their fault. They just don't travel in our circles. In many cases, like I've run into people who got recommended to me or other people because they were like, I've got this burning question. I'm sure somebody's got an answer. I just don't know who. I've called, the CEO of these companies over there, but like they just send their government relations folks, and all I get are the same 4 talking points. I want at least a 5th talking point. Come on, like we've got to do better. And they find this technical community that's so honest, so giving, so caring, and so willing to talk about anything and everything, whether it's a talking point or not, that it's really refreshing. And so there's a lot of really good conversations that have come out of that as well. So, you can do it, and they want to hear from you. And then the third is that there are people who can help and support. I Am the Cavalry, Hackers on the Hill, Tech Congress, Policy at DEF CON. There's folks out there in all of these areas that just want to help empower you, that don't want to put a wall in front of you, that don't want to gatekeep, that want to make sure that more of us can go have those conversations because I can't do it all. No one can do it all. In fact, the problem space is expanding much faster than any of us can actually rise to do it. It's going to take all of us in order to do that. In 2013, the problem statement that we had with I Am the Cavalry is our dependence on connected technology is growing much faster than our ability to secure it in areas impacting human life, public safety, national and economic security. That hasn't changed, has it? Well, the public policy, cyber policy problem space, and I can say cyber, by the way, because I live inside the Beltway. I don't always have to drink for that. But the cyber policy problem space is also increasing much faster than our ability to deal with it with the people who are there now. Think about not just cybersecurity or InfoSec or data protection. Think about artificial intelligence, right? We take a crummy technology stack that we can't trust, and then we add non-deterministic components to it, and we hope it's going to be more secure. That sounds like a crazy thing to do, but we're doing it. We're going forward with that, and so we can either go backwards, or we can just make these technology more dependable, more trustworthy, and a lot of that goes through public policy.
I guess I will say, ChatGPT did tell me it was secure, so. But
Perfect.
No.
Believe everything you read on the internet.
No, I really love, especially your statement on picking the lock. Why are we getting stopped by gatekeepers in policy? Why are we getting stopped and letting gatekeepers keep us from impacting the world? We're hackers. We can do it. And you and the work that you've done on policy and with Hackers on the Hill and I'm the Cavalry and all these groups is proof. We can impact that greater change. We can stop fixing the bug and start fixing the issue. Yeah. So if folks wanted to find out some more information, where would they go?
Yeah, like I mentioned, Hackers on the Hill, Policy at DEF CON, I Am the Cavalry. Those are some great spaces to get started. But also, don't just be limited to stuff that other people are doing and latch onto it. Go and start your own thing. Go and engage. A lot of national legislators have offices here in Washington, or if you're not from Washington, from wherever you are from, right? Because they represent the citizens. A lot of times all the focus and attention is on stuff that happens in DC, but for those people, they have local offices, and the local offices get no love, or they get very little love. And so if you just pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm a cybersecurity expert, I'm a constituent of yours, I care about these issues, do you want to sit down and talk about them? They might say oh my God, are you kidding me? Yes, where have you been all my life? right? Or maybe you'll get in their Rolodex, and they will reach out and call you. You can work with smaller local policy folks. And here it's important to disambiguate between politics and policy. Politics is the things that people do to divide us. Policy are the things that govern our lives. So a lot of local policymakers, a lot of policy gets made at the local and state level. A lot of really important things happen at the local and state level. And there's not much focus and attention there. So like, go find your local policy apparatus and talk to them, have conversations. Find 5 or 10 people, engage with them, see what makes them tick, find common interests, and then when they have an issue that pops up, they'll call you. Or if you have something that you see, you can reach out to them. Even if you want to go to DC, just call your local representative's office there and say, hey, I'm a constituent, I want to get on your calendar, can I come and talk to you about this thing that I care about? They'll give you a half an hour. Call them up, write them. They actually do pay attention to that because you are the people who put them in office. And they want to make sure, the cynical way to look at it, and lots of us are cynics, is that they want to make sure that they maintain their voter trust and confidence. But really, they're also there because they recognize that they serve you as that population, and they want to do all they can to help. So, find some answers on your own, but also don't be afraid to go it alone and do something new and different, or just go out and discover. There's no harm in doing that. And you might find that there's a better way to do something than I've even thought of.
Well, Beau, from the community, thank you for the energies and leadership you've put into this space. And I know you've given lots of gratitude also to others who are acting in the space. But thank you for showing us a way and encouraging us to step a little beyond our comfort zone.
Well, thank you for putting on this event. It's, I think, awesome to see so many people here. And the room was packed too for Tara Wheeler's talk, talking about testifying, which is something that most of us will never do. But I think that speaks to the curiosity that people have about this, about wanting to learn more, wanting to engage more.
Excellent. Thank you again.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
your time. Thank you, Heather. That's awesome. All right. We're going to go right into closing goodness, which means I have to pull up notes. Bsides is not possible to happen without every one of you, all our volunteers, our staff, and our sponsors and partners. So the food we eat, the space we rent, all the gear we need, they're providing for us. So I really thank all of you for engaging them in the sponsor room today and connecting with them. We do have one of our sponsors was doing a giveaway for a Switch light, and I have the name here. Andrew Schoon? Yes. So they will be emailing you and sending you the gear. So we didn't know if you would still be. In the same vein, who here went to the villages? If you did not, feel bad. No, so our village lead and village team did an amazing job this year of bringing in a new CTF group. So thank you to the Red Team Alliance here in Seattle. Huge thank you to our Seattle Locksport team, and a huge thank you to our cryptographer and crypto team and Sam and crew for that awesome newspaper crypto challenge. Who finished it? I see hands. Yeah. And Michael Hedges and the 3D printing crew. This variety of technology and variety of interesting spaces we get to play in. The other side, I want to thank our partners for coming out as well. ISSA, WISIS, and Blacks in Cyber. Y'all are a huge part of our community, and it was amazing to have you here. All right. Locksport, it looks like we have some prizes. Uh, is it the team that entered?
No, it's
Oh.
just individual.
Oh, you've got the names?
Yeah, I got.
Oh, great.
Actually, need a RNG assistant to pull names.
Oh, I get to be, is this pseudo random?
Yeah, close
Okay.
enough. All right. Let's start. We're gonna go with the time challenge, which many entrants in.
Yeah, so the time challenge, if folks who haven't seen it, you actually had an electronic setup lock, so a physical lock with a counter on it. So how long it took you to make it through, was it one or multiple?
It's just one.
Okay.
And this year, in years past, it's been whoever got it the fastest, but that ended up being always the best lock picker in the group. But we want to be able to give stuff to maybe not the best lock picker in the group. So we used everybody who won basically got entered into a raffle.
Okay.
And so
I suppose I should look away.
let's find a card somewhere within.
I have a card. Sneha Malchetti? Is Sneha in the room? This way you come to closing.
You do RNG trade over two.
Do. 3.
Number 3. Well, let me look because somebody's handwriting sucked.
3. Is a 3 here?
I don't know, what would you call it?
Dimple.
Dimple?
Is there a dimple in the room?
Dimple?
Yeah. Woohoo! Come on down. And a lovely prize of I believe, a newly published lock sport book.
Yes. A lock pick and some stickers.
Yeah. Excellent work.
Yep.
And I believe the book is signed, right?
Correct.
By our very own Matt, yeah?
Matt, and I was also the technical editor, so I also put my name in there. So.
All right.
All right. RNG version 2, so these are the lock boxes that are on the table. And
A lock box.
yes.
That's a good one. This is it.
All
This
right.
is the one. Ryan Tan. Ryan Tan. Woo!
All right. Ryan gets a book, a lock, tape. Hang on, tape has attacked everything. We get a Sparrow's lockpick set, a lock, and some more stickers, of course, and also a book.
Thank
There
you
you
so
go.
much.
Enjoy. Yep.
Hey.
And box number A, which was a difficult box because we only actually had 2 people open it. So we got a 50-50 thing going here. So, oops, I dropped one of them, so now it's 100%. Never mind.
Josh Michaels? No, I'm sorry. Evan Johnson. Evan Johnson.
Yay.
Excellent.
All right. And Evan got, of course, a book, some more stickers, a bigger lockpick set, and a pretty cool lock from Pack Lock.
Ooh. Shiny.
Another sticker that fell out somewhere.
All right.
Another sticker
All
bonus.
right. There you go. Enjoy.
All right.
Yep.
Is that it?
I think that's it.
Thank you so much.
So who attended the Lockpick Village? All right, did you have fun? Yeah. Did you get locks open?
Yeah.
Did you learn something new?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Who picked their first lock ever here? Hell yeah. Welcome to the addiction.
Yeah. It gets worse. After a while, you'll have a 20-pound bag you're carting around everywhere.
It's our fitness program.
Yeah. If anybody's interested, Seattle Lock Sport does meetups. We do it twice a month. We do one at North Lake Union, currently at Fremont Brewery, on the first Tuesday of every month. And we also do one in Redmond, the third Tuesday, and that's going to be at Redmond Pint and Pie or Northwest Brewing. The kind of names are interchangeable. Feel free to come visit, hang out. Doesn't matter if you know how to pick or not pick. We'll get you picking at the end of the night. And just you can find us SeattleLocksport.com, meetup, whatever. And there you go.
So SeattleLocksport.com for meetups and continuing your locks pick journeys.
Yes.
Thank you, Yak.
Yep. You're welcome. Oh, hey, let me thank. I forgot the crew. I didn't do it myself. Everybody else helped me. So Matt Beau is also part of the team that helped, and my list got lost. Lockpicking Dev was also there and helped out quite a bit. Nick, Max, Taylor, and there was also a whole bunch of other experienced lockpickers that were part of the con that just helped out teaching everybody else just because they like to teach. And I like to thank every single one of those people that helped out because it's fun just spreading the education. So anyway, there we go.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, man.
All right.
All right. Also in our villages, so these prizes have already been given out. But Sam from our crypto village wanted to make sure that we mentioned Shreya Kura, who won the Codebreakers book. And there was a team that entered the crypto challenge, which is exactly, it embodies the crypto community. You don't go sit in a corner and break the codes all on your own. But as you gather and create that space to work on it together. So they wanted to call out Yara, Oz, Troy, Joey, Katie, who's on her 4th year back solving crypto. Their first time was a high schooler. So this community's growing up. Patrick and Leaf. So great work for those folks, and continue on your obfuscation crypto journey. So look at my list here. Feedback. We are always looking for feedback. This conference this year, we had 840 people here. That is 200 or 300 more than we did last year. And we sold out our tickets, which means we're probably capping out our space. One of the worst things that I have to do is deny people the ability to come. So we will be considering our space options. If anyone has any recommendations, there's going to be a feedback survey coming out. So please take that opportunity. It's critical for us to continue to advance and grow. On that as well, if you who here attended a talk today? I hear there were some. Great. The speakers love feedback, right? Our speakers are everyone from their first time speaking to Tara, who's been a speaker for many years and an amazing talent and skill. Feedback is critical as they take and grow in their skills. You heard them. Let them know what you thought. Next year. We don't have the date for next year yet. We are working with our crew and Microsoft to go ahead and get the date sets. We'll probably be still in that April timeframe. We have to work to land so that we're not on RSA week for all of you poor folks who are going to be in San Francisco next week. And we also try to make sure that we don't land on other B-side days, right? This is a community. We want to support each other. Speaking of that, if you haven't heard, Bsides Portland this fall. So make sure, check them out. Especially if you're in the Oregon area, they're a hop, skip, and a jump away. Another great opportunity to connect. For here in Seattle, the one thing I want to leave everyone with, this is impossible to do without volunteers and staff. And one, just again, the gratitude towards each and every one of those people who gave their time and effort to make this happen. And now, my call to action. Would you like to potentially be on staff? We will have some roles and opportunities coming out, so when we send feedback, we'll be sending those out. You'd be amazed at the work that it takes to put on the conference, everything from running the registration to our CFP and how we select content, as well as, to kind of quote back to something Beau said, the things we haven't thought about yet. The new and the diversity of thinking that we bring and we grow the staff, we grow the diversity of what we have at this conference. So if you are interested when the feedback form comes out, please let us know. if you're interested in potentially a staff role. It does have some off-year or off conference day work. And then the other side with feedback, and we'll ask again, if you have something that you're like, oh, this was great, Wham, this was the best thing ever, except, and you have an idea for what we need to do next year. Yes, I've heard the question, are we going 2 days next year? We will consider, but again, back to that staff component. The other side is there's an additional cost. So one of the things that we do try to do here, if you noticed, we want our ticket prices to stay very low. Huge thank you to the super awesome donor participants who donated above and beyond. You actually made it possible for us to donate 150 of our tickets to scholarship to folks who are having hardship, to folks who just didn't have it. So. Money should never be the reason you can't come to DEF CON. Ah, sorry, wrong conference. Let me turn. No, that's a different con. But money should never be the reason you can't come to Bsides Seattle. All right, and if that ever stops you in the future, email me. We'll fix it. All right, y'all. The bars are still open. Don't make those bartenders take that stuff home. It's heavy. And I appreciate each and every one of you. You guys make this what it is. Thank you.